What's up, you guys, and welcome to the channel. My name is Chase, and today we'll be talking about 007 First Light. And I gotta preface this video with this. I am someone who recently has turned 30. Dang, it really wasn't recently if it was all the way last year, at the end of last year. I'm someone who turned 30, and I don't know what it is. It could be life, it could be the things I'm going through, it could be work, which I generally work over 50 hours a week every week at my job, and it could be a myriad of things. Maybe some of my interests, maybe when it comes to content creating or reading manga, watching anime, or watching movies, a lot of horror movies if you guys are actually following this channel. But there's just come a time where like video games became less of an important factor in my life, especially when it comes to playing a lot of video games. Now, when I was younger, when I had a lot of free time, when I was in school and I didn't have anything else to worry about like bills, yeah, I was able to play a lot of games. I was able to get a lot of gaming in. But as an adult, like I said, who works a lot, has a lot of other interests and other things to do outside of just gaming itself, gaming has been one of those things I found kind of hard to connect with within recent years, because there's not a lot of games I like really seek out like that. But when it came to this game, 007 First Light, I gotta say this right now. I am not a huge 007 fan. In fact, I am not a 007 fan at all. Of course, I've played GoldenEye. Who hasn't played GoldenEye? That's something that you kind of grow up with. But besides that, before I even played the game, I had to look up why were there so many James Bond movies, and to see that there are different iterations of the character James Bond, that blew my mind, because I honestly thought this was like a chronological order of like movies. I'm like, this came all the way from this era to this era. How is James Bond still alive? How is he the same person? Or is he just a random person that's named James Bond who is destined to become 007? These are the questions I had coming into this game, because I have no knowledge of 007, but to see that each version of 007 played by these different actors was a different iteration of the character of James Bond in 007, I kind of got some understanding from that. So going into this game, knowing that this was a more modern take on James Bond, obviously besides, I believe his name is Daniel Craig, besides that version, which we haven't had a 007 game in a long time. So to see this right here, I saw a lot of anticipation behind this game. I saw IO Interactive made this. I believe the people who helped develop Hitman are the people that actually made this game, and some of the little pieces I played of Hitman kind of translate over here really well. Now, the number one thing that really drew me into this game was that this is not a long game. I was ecstatic to hear something like that, because a lot of the times when you hear these AAA games and they're like 30-40 hours open world, that just sounds like a very daunting task to get into, which is one of the reasons why it's very hard for me to get into a game like Horizon. Have I beat the first one? Yes. Is it an enjoyable experience? To a degree, but as an adult at my age, at this stage of life right here, it's hard for me to connect with a game like that, because when I come home from work, it just feels like I'm about to do more work, especially with doing all these Ubisoft like side missions all across the map, and I don't want to do that. So going into this game, which was very linear for what it was, I really enjoyed it. I really loved it. Now, games like this, I'm a sucker for. Like, I'm a Sony pony at heart. Like, I love the PlayStation exclusives. I love the over-the-shoulder camera. You're playing in third person. You're doing a lot of action. There's these whole cinematic set pieces. I love that. I enjoy that. I want to have an experience when I'm playing these games. Now, that's not to say that other games that don't have that aren't experiences, but when I play games like this, I want to be immersed within the story. I want to be immersed with the characters, and I also want to be immersed within the gameplay. I want to feel like the character. I want to do things that I know in real life. If I tried to do that, I will be on the first set of paramedic ambulance trucks. I'll be the first one out. But to play a game like this, oh, I felt like that boy James Bond. They call me Chase Bond after the way I was doing them in that game, because, oh my gosh, I love this game. Now, the first thing I thought of when I was playing this game, I was like, this feels very Uncharted-esque. This feels very Tomb Raider of the recent releases of the remake, or the not remaster, but it's a remake. Now, this game gave me heavy vibes from those games right there, and I honestly love those games right there. So to come into this game right here, it felt like, you know, I was stepping into familiar territory, but I had a new coat of paint on this familiar territory, because like I said, I am very unfamiliar with James Bond, but the way that these mechanics was going, especially when it was kind of like the Arkham-like combat, it was very Arkham-light. I want to say that it's very Arkham-light, because there was some points where I'm like, how do I do this perfect parry? Because it's a little bit easier for me to do the melee combat on this game. It kind of took me a while to get it, because I'm like, I'm timing it, I'm pressing the button as I see this little glint happening right here, but I'm not perfect dodging like I want to. I can't perfect parry out of that. But besides that, gameplay wise, I honestly enjoyed it. I thought that was a nice mix of like sneaking around, trying to find things, having an eavesdrop, being able to do different things that have different outcomes within the mission that you're going through at that moment, and to just seamlessly go from melee to gun gameplay. And I'm not that big of a shooter, right? Like I have horrible aim, but when I was in this game right here, you could hit the little slowdown, the reticle was nice, it was just really smooth to actually shoot, and you don't really get a lot of bullets, especially most of the time. I think the most bullets I had was like 60 for like an AR, but besides that, you don't really get an overstock of ammo, so you don't feel like you're completely immune to everything, which I kind of do like, because it gave me that sense of like, yo, if I run out of bullets right here, I'm gonna have to run around and risk getting shot and risk getting killed to go find some more bullets. So I gotta make all these shots actually worth it. But the combat for me was really, really smooth to a degree. I enjoyed the combat, but I kind of wish it was a bit more diverse with the combat, kind of like Arkham, but it has the punch, parry, grab. It has all that stuff, which I did enjoy, but man, I kind of wish it was a bit more fleshed out, kind of like Arkham, but it is kind of balancing a whole bunch of these other gameplay techniques that, you know, you got the shooting, you got the sneaking around, you got the eavesdropping, you got the hide and cover, you got all these type of things, and you also got the little gadget from the Q watch that you get given at the beginning of the game. So having all these mechanics, it also reminds me of Watch Dogs 2, and I really enjoyed Watch Dogs 2, even though that was open world. To have all these mechanics work and flow seamlessly within the game, I do like it. And there were certain points in the story where you were able to do certain things and they wouldn't carry over to other chapters of the actual game itself, which I did like, because I'm like, okay, this is nice, this is contained, and I get to do this right here. And I feel like I got to do something new with each mission. And talking about the mission structure, I really like the pacing of this game. It's about like 10 chapters. It's less than 20 hours, so it's really easy for you to get in and get out. But the chapters are a bit lengthy, obviously, because there's only 10 chapters, 10 stages, you can kind of say. So going into these chapters, it feels like you're actually getting a story from each of these chapters right here. And I gotta say that I really enjoyed the story right here. Now, it does feel like an action movie that you're interacting with, just like Uncharted or Tomb Raider. But the way that you're able to, like I said earlier, balance all these different mechanics, it gets you so immersed with it. And some of the characters that you have, like John Greenway, played by Lenny James, I loved his character. Now, while there are a lot of predictable things within the story, because this is basically like a spy movie, but you're playing it, I still enjoy those elements either way. And I gotta talk about the actor Patrick Gibson for James Bond himself. I really enjoyed him. Very charismatic, very quick-witted. That's the best term I can use. And I gotta say that I enjoyed a good amount of the characters that we got within the story. Now, I do feel like I wish I could have got a bit more fleshing out or a bit more time to spend with some of these other characters that aren't throughout the whole story. But man, some of the characters that we do get in the story, I'm like, this feels like a spy espionage movie. This was like a really finely crafted one right here. And because it's a video game, you can kind of go a bit more in depth for certain things while obviously interacting with this. So I really did enjoy my experience with 007 First Light. And obviously the game just looks gorgeous. Like, this game looks really good. Like, this is one of the best looking games I played, and I don't really play a lot of newer games like that of recent years because I'm trying not to buy a lot because I already have a huge backlog as is. But the next game I'm going to be playing is Wolverine, and I cannot wait for that. Oh, I'm super excited for that. But let me know if you guys have played 007 First Light. Let me know if you're a James Bond fan, and give me your top 5 James Bond movies within the comment section down below. That way I can know which ones to watch, because I do kind of want to watch a few of them just to get more familiar with some of the lore and history of James Bond. But I don't want to watch all of them because we just talked about it. I don't have time for all that. But you guys let me know in the comment section down below. Like, thank you guys for watching. Chase out. Peace.